From the very first moment I saw her standing on the sunlit balcony of that quiet yellow house at the far end of Rosewood Lane, with the warm noonlight painting her hair gold, I felt something shift inside me, like the world had stopped for just a second and whispered a secret only I could hear. I didn't know then that this moment would change everything about who I was, what I believed, and how deeply a person could feel love even when they were terrified to accept it. But life has a strange way of pushing us toward the very thing we try to avoid, and mine pushed me straight toward someone I never thought I had the right to love, my best friend's sister. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the courage it takes to follow your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, Stories of Kindness. Your support helps us continue bringing emotional, meaningful stories to life. Her name was Arissa Vale, a girl whose quiet presence held an entire universe in the way she moved, breathed, smiled, and looked at the world. She was not loud, not glamorous, not the type of girl you noticed in a crowded room, but rather the one who made you feel seen without ever saying a word. My best friend, Kieran Vale, was the complete opposite, energetic, bold, loud, and always ready to drag me into whatever half-planned adventure he had created for the day. I had been going to their house since we were 8, and every passing year, Arissa seemed to grow more into herself, as if the seasons shaped her the way the ocean sculpts a shell, carefully, beautifully, quietly. I never let myself think too much about her. It felt wrong somehow, like I was trespassing on something sacred. She was Kieran's sister. And I was just the friend who lived 3 blocks away, the boy who hid behind humor, the one who pretended to be fine. I had my own storms to deal with. My father's passing 2 years earlier had left a silence in our home so heavy it felt alive, taking up space at every dinner table, every morning routine, every night when I tried to sleep. I carried the weight of responsibility for my little brother, for my mother who tried to stay strong, and for myself, who couldn't admit how lost I felt. That summer afternoon, everything changed. I had gone to the Valles house to study for our last college entrance exams. Kieran wasn't home yet. Arissa opened the door. She was wearing a soft lavender sweater, and the morning sun hit her face at just the right angle, making her look like she was glowing. She stepped aside to let me in, and for some reason, my heart decided to beat twice as fast. She didn't look away like she usually did. Instead, she held my gaze for a moment longer than normal, and there was something in her eyes, something quiet but bold, something I had never seen from her before. I went to the living room, expecting her to retreat upstairs like she always did, but instead she paused near the stairs, turned slightly toward me, and said softly, almost as if she was afraid the world might collapse if she spoke too loudly, "Want to go out with me?" My breath froze. The world stilled. The sunlight drifting across the floor felt sharper, brighter, more defined. For a moment I wondered if I had heard her wrong, if maybe the weight of my exhaustion had twisted her words into something my heart wanted to hear. But she was watching me carefully, uncertainty flickering across her face as if she feared she had broken something fragile. I could have said yes. I wanted to say yes. But fear, guilt, confusion, everything crashed into me at once. So instead, I closed my eyes for a second, grounded myself, and whispered the only truth I had the courage to say: love starts from the heart. Not the lips, not fear, not obligation, only the heart. Her expression softened, and she nodded gently, as if she understood exactly what I meant, even though I wasn't sure myself. Then she walked upstairs, leaving me alone with a silence that felt louder than any words I could have spoken. The days that followed were strange. Arissa wasn't avoiding me, but she wasn't acting normal either. Whenever she passed by the living room where Kieran and I studied, she would glance at me briefly before looking away. I felt something inside me unravel slowly, thread by thread. I found myself thinking about her more often, the way she tilted her head when she read, the way she hummed absent-mindedly when watering plants, the way she looked at people as if she could see the softness in them before they even knew it was there. But love, even the real kind, comes with challenges. My biggest one was my fear. I was terrified that Kieran would think I betrayed him. Terrified that Arissa deserved someone better. terrified that I didn't have the emotional space to give her the kind of love she deserved. I had responsibilities, my brother needed me, my mother relied on me, and every day felt like walking through a fog that refused to lift. I wasn't sure I had enough pieces of myself left to give someone else. One afternoon, about 2 weeks after she had asked me out, I found Arissa sitting alone in the backyard beneath the shade of the old guava tree. The day was bright, the air warm, and she seemed deep in thought, staring at the sunlight flickering through the leaves. Without knowing why, I walked toward her. She looked up at me, her expression calm but unreadable. A bird chirped nearby, the breeze carried the scent of summer grass, and for a moment, we just breathed the same air. I sat beside her, not too close, but close enough that I could feel the quiet warmth she carried like a second skin. She didn't ask why I was there. She didn't force anything. She simply existed, peaceful, patient, waiting. And that's when I realized something important. Love doesn't always arrive like a storm. Sometimes it comes gently, like sunlight creeping through curtains, waking you slowly, tenderly, softly. And when it does, you don't have to run. You just have to let it be. Life, however, doesn't always make things easy. The next week, my family fell into another financial crisis. My mother's job was at risk, and the medical bills left behind by my father were starting to pile up again. I felt the pressure closing in around me. I spent nights awake, calculating numbers, planning part-time jobs, trying to figure out how to hold my family together. I grew distant from everyone, including Arissa. She noticed, of course she noticed, but she didn't push. She simply watched me with that same understanding in her eyes. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, as I walked out of the grocery store with a bag of discounted items because we needed to save money, I saw her waiting outside, leaning lightly against the handrail. She wasn't smiling. There was concern in her eyes, the kind that didn't require explanations or excuses. She stepped toward me, touched the bag gently, and whispered with sincerity that felt like sunlight warming a cold room, "You don't have to carry everything alone." Her words broke something inside me, not in a painful way, but in the way a locked door breaks open to reveal light on the other side. I didn't cry, but I felt the weight lift just enough to breathe again. I told her about my family's struggles, my fear of not being enough, my guilt for wanting someone when I barely had anything to offer. She listened the way only she could, with full attention, full presence, and an open heart. She wasn't disappointed. She wasn't scared away. She simply reached out, lightly touched my hand, and stayed. That was the moment everything changed. Over the next few weeks, Arissa became my safe place. Not a distraction, not a burden, not an obligation, just a soft, steady presence reminding me that life wasn't meant to be navigated alone. She didn't fix my problems, but she helped me face them without feeling like the world was collapsing. She encouraged me to apply for a scholarship I had been scared to try for. She tutored my little brother in math, giving my mother and me some breathing room. She left small sticky notes with encouraging quotes in my notebooks, never too much, never overwhelming, just enough to remind me that I mattered.